Lindsay, this is June in Hearn.
Hey, June.
Hi. And you may have answered this because I came on late. I was in a conference, a Zoom call with our superintendent. Is there a time limit as far as uh, LA4? Do we have to have it offer a certain amount, a minimum amount of time to get the for the reimbursement?
No.
Teaching time, learning time?
No, there's no specific number of minutes required.
Okay.
We are just asking that you stay engaged. Um, work through these 4 bullet points. These are the things that are required. Stay engaged with your families. Ensure that the children are actually meeting some of their milestones or developmental criteria, or whatever those performance indicators may be. And just, I know it's such a weird time, right? So we
Yeah.
are not requiring a specific number of minutes. Now, if your children are in the classroom, we would like as much as possible for you to maintain that regular, um, the
Yeah.
regular protocol that you are used to. This is specifically, so, but no, for children who are at home, um, there is not a minute requirement for um, their daily activities.
Hey, Lindsay, it's Carmen from Tangi. Do we need to submit a plan to you guys to show that we're meeting these things so that we can get paid for our LA4 virtual kids?
No, we sent out a survey for you to submit some information about your LA4 coordinators, and part of that survey included an overview of your virtual plan. Um, and so if you can submit that plan to us and provide as much detail as possible, that should be sufficient. And then if you know that you are meeting these criteria and you can show that, you don't have to provide it to us regularly, but if you can show that these children are meeting certain indicators, or whatever it is that y'all are using to measure right now, and you are continuing to mark them on your attendance, then you will receive payment for them.
Okay, are you talking about the survey that we completed with our district?
This is one that went out. It was specific to LA4. It went out with the same email that announced this webinar. There's a link to a survey. So if you will all go back and look at that and complete that survey, not only does it ask about your virtual plan, but it also provides to me your current contact information for your early childhood coordinators, as well as some questions around curriculum and site location. So it would be super helpful if we could get those submitted by tomorrow. It's not a very long survey.
Oh, if people have already completed the survey, but they've had to push the date of the school start back, do they need to notify us or you?
Yeah, they can just shoot me an email and let me know, and I'll make a note of it.
Great.
Hey, Lindsay, this is Ashley over at Bricolage. I have a quick question. We were just told we're doing 100% virtual learning in New Orleans. So most of our classes are going to be asynchronous. However, we're planning on doing one synchronous class in the morning where teachers will be, I guess, like taking attendance. So if they're doing that, should we be marking those absences then on the document?
So is that going to be your measure for whether or not the children are participating? I'm just curious if they are not actually present for that attendance check, but they are participating in the activities, that are planned throughout the day, or whatever that looks like for you. We want to make sure that they are getting credit for that.
Okay, because right now the plan is like there's going to be like scheduled activities throughout the day, but also things that they could do on their own time. But we've been communicating to parents that like the morning meeting, which is what we call it, is where attendance will be taken and like how they're being given credit in the older grades. So I didn't know if we should be doing the same thing for pre-K.
You can absolutely. I would definitely impress upon your pre-K parents that that's the most important time of the day for them to attend, is that first morning meeting, similar to, I would say, circle time, right?
Yeah.
But then also take into consideration that if for some reason they miss that, but they are in participation the rest of the day, we
Mhm.
wouldn't want that to count against them as far as attendance.
Okay,
is
so just
concerned.
kind of
So
go
it's
back.
just something for your teachers to be mindful of.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I want to also touch really quickly on what your reimbursement structure will look like in these different phases. In the case of a state mandated school closure, as we experienced in the spring, your LA4 program will be reimbursed on enrollment only. So while we strongly encourage you to continue virtual learning, even if there is a state mandated physical school closure, you won't be required to demonstrate you won't be required to demonstrate that these instructional activities are occurring. So in phase 1 or phase 2, you will be reimbursed based on attendance and meeting program requirements. And you will have to meet those virtual and hybrid program requirements that were detailed on the previous slide in order to be reimbursed. You will track attendance, whether students are attending in person or virtually. The only time that you will not track and submit attendance is during a state mandated school closure. And then in phase 3, when we are hoping that everybody will be back in school in person, your reimbursement will be based on attendance, and your program requirements will return to normal. Are there any questions about that? So we just want to be really clear that even if your children are attending virtually, you still are responsible for reporting their attendance.
The only
And
lingering
if
question
they,
here is if a school is using a hybrid model, do they have to meet the minute requirements and the assurances for the school year? The school is attempting to create a new calendar to fit those children who attend hybridly.
no, they don't. Really, the minute requirement, I think, will not fully come back into play until we go into phase 3 and forward. Okay, so our next steps, we will send to you, like we did last year, a link to your specific Google Doc to record your attendance. I'm hoping that these will go out to you tomorrow. So you should, and I'm hoping to also include with that a link to this webinar. Your first due date for your August enrollment will be September 10th. If you have children who have registered and for some reason your school is not starting until after August, because we've had some districts that have opted not to actually even start school until after Labor Day, please let me know. Continue to register your children, continue to keep them to enroll them and have them on your roster, and let me know what your start date will be. If it's possible to reimburse for August based on the fact that you are unable to start school, but you still are employing a teacher and purchasing classroom materials, we want to try to do that if possible. So just please let me know if for some reason you will not be starting school in August. Like I mentioned, payments will be made monthly. So after you submit your first attendance report on September 10th, we will review it as quickly as possible and submit it to finance for payment. And then if you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to email me, and my email address is on the screen.
Lindsay, I have one more question. I'm sorry. We are
Okay.
really trying to fill all these LA4 seats. So with this being paid monthly, you know, if we're not meeting our 95% of our allocation of our seats that we're allocated for, we only get the funding that we're filling seats for each month, correct?
That's right.
So if we're not,
Yeah,
we're not
if
filling
funding,
them virtually or in person, we need to make cuts.
Well, we also are encouraging everybody to, if you have families that are on the fence about sending their kids back, encourage them to do the virtual model. If you have families that, if you are in a place where your school is not going to provide an on-site classroom and you're doing 100% virtual, but parents are saying, well, I still need my kid to go to school, so we won't be able to do anything. We are also encouraging you to consider diverse delivery and place your LA4 classrooms in a childcare center that's open in your community. And I can talk through that with you if you're interested in hearing, maybe what that
You
looks
just mean
like.
if the parent's not comfortable going to the school setting, but is comfortable going to a daycare setting?
Yeah. I mean, that may be possible, right? And so you could place LA4 seats that flow through your district at a child care center. And it's not unlike placing them at a public school. You would have an agreement with that center for what that looks like. Some places it's the district provides the teacher and provides the materials, and the center just provides the space. And in some places, the district just pays the center and the center provides the teacher and
right. I'm just
material.
really concerned about, I have 2 schools that are really low that normally we fill, and we are trying to get the word out for virtual learning and everything, but I don't want to let teachers go right now because parents are still on the fence. So I don't want to start school and then we don't make the allocation numbers, so we're not reimbursed and we can't pay our teacher. I know you can't tell us definitely, but typically, we used to say our October 1 count, but.
Right. And we still will look at those numbers. We just look at them more often now than we did before. But I will say, we will make every effort to pay for all the seats that are filled. We cannot pay for seats that are unfilled, but we will make every attempt and every effort to pay for those seats that are filled regardless of the attendance percentage.
What was that method called where they could have an LA4 teacher in the child care center?
It's using diverse delivery.
Diverse delivery. Okay, that's what I thought you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so you may have families who have to work, but if the schools are not open, they may have childcare centers that are open in your community, and you could place those seats in that childcare center and still get funded for them, even if they're not in your public school.
But they would have to be a certified teacher, so the school that, just for example, I'm just going to say our teacher at Midway's not filling, so that teacher would go to the diverse delivery setting, because we do have diverse delivery classrooms by public school teachers, but this teacher at Midway would not be at Midway anymore, but she'd still be our teacher in a child care.
That's right.
And then would there be the possibility for that teacher to roll back into the school? Our particular scenario is we're offering virtual only for kindergarten and up. So that's causing some parents to want to pull out of pre-K because we don't have a virtual only option. We only have a hybrid option. But I feel we'll come back after the first 9 weeks, after, the rest of the students come back who are doing the virtual only model. So then you would just put that, would there be the ability to just put that teacher back in the school and continue on with those students once they re-enrolled in the regular public school?
Yes. So if the teacher is an employee of the district, you can place her wherever you need her to go. You may want to consider that if those children have started in a particular setting, you may not want to disrupt their normal experience by moving them to a school building. Just something to consider. But yes, as an employee of the district, you are at liberty to place that teacher wherever she's needed.
Can you provide diverse delivery for just 1 or 2 children?
Absolutely. They are your seats to place wherever you see the need, wherever your district sees the need and whatever meets the need. It's up to each school system to come up with some agreement, whatever that looks like, with that particular child care center.
Can you put more than 20 in a virtual class?
That's a great question.
I'm sorry, we're really trying
That's okay.
to filter this out, and we really don't want to lay teachers and paras off, so we are.
No, I understand. Yeah, I mean, I I don't know that we've actually discussed that. And I know the LA4 statute claims, it mandates that your group size in a traditional classroom is no more than 20. But we will definitely look into that option, because I think if that's something that would fill that need for you, then I feel like we can figure out a way to make it work.
Lindsay, I think because that's a big question that we've asked, as well as in the grades K to 12 as well. And there is flexibility in the assignments of ratios, I know, for our virtual teachers versus what happens in a regular classroom setting. Whereas if the ratio in, the K to 2 world or whatever was 25-1 for virtual, they are kind of extending that. Just something to consider, that it's being extended for the other grades. So possibly for us as well.
Yeah, and I think more than likely we can come up with a good answer for that. Just because the group size is based on I think space, and I think it's also based on a teacher's ability to focus on all of those children physically at one time. And so I think if your virtual model does not involve all of the children interacting with that teacher all at one time, I think probably that would be a good plan. But like I said, we will definitely look into that because I think that would be a good solution.
Can one teacher provide the recorded lesson to more than 20 students, like we just discussed, but leave students on the role of the original teacher for one-on-one family and student contact?
I'm not sure I understand that question.
It sounds like using 2 teachers to, one to record lessons and the other to make parent and family contact.
So like a teacher and a teacher assistant, sort of.
I think more like team.
As long as your identified lead teacher is certified, the person who is acting as your quote unquote para, we don't have specific credential requirements for those folks. So yeah, I don't see why that would be a problem.
I'm wondering if they're thinking of like a shared, like, for example, if there are 7 pre-K teachers in a school, one pre-K teacher does the recorded lesson that goes out for the morning meeting, and then the individual teachers just reach out to their students for the one-on-one contact. I'm wondering if that's what they meant by that.
Yeah, possibly. I can assure you, we are not likely to dig that deeply into which teacher is doing which activity. We just want to make sure that the lesson plans and the activities that are being developed for this virtual method are being developed by their lead certified teacher. Are there any other questions? These are great questions, y'all.
There's a couple just from the chat. It says, how will a district know if they receive LA4 and TANF and will receive 2 payments monthly? Our allocation shows LA4.
I will send that out to you.
Great.
So Ms. Bradford, when I submitted my assurances, although you had the most detailed, explicit directions, none of it worked right on this particular computer that I have. Should I receive some verification that you received it?
I will, yeah, I will make sure, and I will send you a confirmation. I will do that for all of them, actually.
Thank you.
And do they need to send district calendars to you as they did last year, Lindsay?
Not yet.
Great.
No, right now the only thing that I would ask you to do is to let me know if you are not starting school in August.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hello.
Carlette.
Hey, Carlette.
Hey, I completed the survey while I'm working on it. I'm pretty finished with it, but with the virtual, things will change. the powers that be are still figuring it out, how it's gonna look for pre-K. And I haven't been on board on that with them, so I just answered, some of the ways that I figure, that we will be doing it. Is it okay to submit it, and then when it changes, we can just send you a detailed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we know that right now, nobody's plan is going to be final, and more than likely, these are going to be a little bit fluid. So if you'll just send me what you have and what your plan is today, or, right now, whatever the case may be, that's all we're looking for. We're just trying to get a general idea of, what is being put into place across the state as far as a virtual method.
Okay, thanks.
Lindsay,
Mhm.
does that apply to the public school systems as well that house the pre-K students in the school? Or are y'all
Yes.
just gonna get that from Orleans Parish Public School System?
No, that would also apply to you as well. The survey that we sent out is specific to pre-K. So we are looking for, now if you're a charter operator, then you would submit yours independently. If you're a school in Orleans that falls under OPSB or under Orleans Parish Schools, then they would submit that survey on behalf of their schools. But if you are a school that receives your LA4 funds directly, then you would submit that survey for your site.
Oh, okay, because okay, I'll check with Henderson Lewis. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
For this already, thank you.
Are there going to be any funding considerations due to low enrollment due to COVID? And is October 1 still the deadline?
As of right now, we do not have any funding considerations or exceptions in place. I don't think we will necessarily rule it out, but right now, the reimbursements are going to be structured the way that we discussed in these slides. And October 1st, we look at your enrollment monthly, but we do look at your October enrollment report sort of as a milestone for, at this point, they should have all of their kids enrolled. However, we do know that this is a really strange year, and so we will not make any cuts based on your October enrollment. We encourage you to enroll as many kids as you can for as long as you can.
Will we still be able to copy and paste the report that we download from JCampus into this document?
I don't think so. Oh, Fairshea is on, and she says yes. She is more of a technology guru than I am. So,
hey, Lindsay, can I talk? Can I just? You can
absolutely.
Hey, so if you're pasting things in and it's saying you can't paste it, it's because it's not a value that it accepts. Like if you're trying to paste in X's and P's and Q's into the attendance sheet, then it's not going to accept those because that means that we can't calculate your attendance correctly and pay you. So that's what it is.
Is the form going to look just like it did last year?
Templates, it looks basically the same, except now it's a drop down. So that way it's easier for you to get everything situated rather than maybe you accidentally keyed in something and now all of a sudden that day isn't marked as attended.
Nicole, can you see my screen?
I can, and as long as, because last year we were able to print a report, our JCampus looked very similar. We had our vendor create something that looked exactly like this. So we could just we could download it as an Excel and copy and paste. So as long as those drop down boxes will allow us to just paste our data, because it's either going to be a 1 or a 0, I'm pretty sure is how it was in our form last year. So as long as it'll let us copy and paste it, then we should be good to be able to do that.
Yeah, these indicators have not changed.
Okay.
The only thing I think we had talked about was if you try to put in a lowercase c, it's not going to accept it because it wants an uppercase C. So you might just check on that, but the rest of these indicators have not changed.
Okay, and I think that's probably something that if on our end, in our system, it's a lowercase c, we can get with the vendor for them to automatically change it to generate an uppercase. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
It says we were only assigned 30 students by one app. What happens if we are not sent the other 10 students needed for full enrollment?
I would reach out to them and just, you know, that is definitely going to be a one app enroll NOLA question. I think they are still taking applications, so there's always that possibility that those additional 10 will come in. I'm not sure why they would have only assigned 30, but that is definitely a question that I would pose to the one app folks.
If a school or classroom is closed because of COVID, do we put a C for closed?
If it's a state mandated closure, we consider all of those excused absences. So you won't be responsible for tracking any of that because we will be paying based on your latest enrollment report. But if your school does close, like if your district closes a school because of a COVID outbreak, then you would indicate those on this report as excused absences. And that's the same with any child who gets exposed and chooses to self-quarantine or is out for any other COVID-related reason. Those would be excused absences as well.
And then just a simple request, please allow enough lines for allocated seats on the template.
Every template has 2,000 lines.
Okay.
You can see there are lots and lots and lots and lots of lines. You spoke and we heard you. And so everyone should have plenty of room to put their kids in.
What if there was, I know you just spoke to state mandated closures. What if there was just an individual closure for a few weeks? Do they need to write C?
You can either write C, or if it's COVID related, you can either write C or you can indicate them as excused absences. And if you are going to continue during a virtual model during a school closure, you could indicate those in actual attendance. The only time that you are not responsible for your attendance is when the governor closes the schools. So in your own district or in your own school, if you issue a closure, you can either identify those as excused absences if you're not going to continue your virtual learning, continue to take attendance if you are offering virtual learning, or you can just identify it as a closure.
And do they need to have an excuse document on record for a quarantined child?
No. I mean, whatever your district or school accepts for that as an acceptable excuse, that's what we'll take. So if that's a note from a parent that says that they are self-quarantining, then that's acceptable.
Can we add students that are eligible above the allotment given? Last year,
Yes.
they were able to in case additional funding became available.
Absolutely.
Great.
We encourage you to do so. I cannot guarantee payment for those children, but I encourage you to add them in the event that we can pay for them.
And Washington Parish says they haven't received anything from May. Is that true?
They should have, but I'm happy to go back and check on it. Is that Leslie?
Yes.
Leslie, if you will email me your tax ID number, I'm happy to check on that for you.
That is all the outstanding questions.
Awesome.
Hello?
Hello, do you have a question?
I do. Lindsay, this is your favorite girl, Michelle Dupert. Hi, everyone. Well, I was checking to find out. I love the reminder that you sent, and it has there are 2 documents that must be completed by tomorrow. Like we are not finished hiring, or really doing cuts, but hiring and cuts. So you just want me to send you a premature list or?
Go ahead and send
Yeah.
me what you have.
Okay.
And then as you add teachers, you can go in and revise it and just send an updated version later on.
Okay, will do. I can do that.
Yes, I will mention those 2 things that are due tomorrow. Thanks, Michelle. Your staffing information form is due tomorrow, as well as the survey for your LA4 program information survey. So those 2 things.
When you get back from lunch, if you'll sorry, Lindsay.
Okay, that's all right. So yeah, your staffing information form. And I did have a question from someone this week that if all of their teachers are returning and no one is new, do they have to go and print out all of those certificates? And to be honest with you, if you have a teacher with a current certificate and you can provide that certificate number on the form, you do not have to print out all those certificates. Just make sure that their certificate is current, that it's not expired, and provide the certificate number on the form.
Are we basing enrollment on projected numbers in EGMS, or are we maintaining last year's numbers? We originally projected a higher number, but we are now experiencing a slow in registration.
I'm not completely sure what you mean by projected numbers. You received an allocation based on your coordinated funding request. So whatever your allocation is, that's your goal for filling your seats. And we encourage you, like I said, to fill as many as you can, even if that goes over the total number of your allocation. And there is not anything currently in EGMS for LA4.
And
are there any other questions? Oh, go ahead, Meredith.
No, just to double check that this slide deck might be available, and or the recording of this webinar might be available for people to reference.
Yes, both. So when we release your template, you will receive your link to your template along with a link to the recording of this webinar, as well as the slides to the webinar. Anything else? All right, it looks like we are right at time. So y'all did a great job asking questions. Some of them were very thoughtful and have given us some things to talk about. If you have any other questions about any of this stuff, please don't hesitate to send me an email or you can give me a call. Well, probably better to send me an email because we're still sort of working somewhat remotely and somewhat in the office. So shoot me an email. We can talk through your questions and make sure everybody has a good understanding of what's expected for 2020, 2021. And that's it. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good day, everybody. A good, safe, unrainy day.